Hello and welcome. My name is Teresa, and this is part 3 in a 4-part series where we are highlighting and sharing cards that have been made using the Share a Milkshake bundle. This bundle is currently available in the Stampin' Up mini catalog, January through April 2023. So if you have not gotten one, get in touch with your Stampin' Up demonstrator and take a look at that catalog. In our first video, we went over how to make this card. This is the actual milkshake. Takes you back, right? Who wouldn't want a nice milkshake? So go ahead and look for that one if you haven't seen that already. Then in episode 2, we made this one using the cardstock Mango Melody. It's not a color that I have used very often, but overall effect of this, I think, is so happy and joyful. Great card. Today's video is about making this card. Here we're going to make an ice cream cone. That's right, the dies that coordinate with this stamp set, they give you a die to make an ice cream cone. So let's go ahead and move this off to the side and let's get started. For this card, I am using one of my favorite colors, the Petal Pink. So here we have a sheet of the Petal Pink. It measures 5.5 by 8.5. Now, if you have the trimmer, you can go ahead and score it halfway through at 4.25. If not, just fold it very carefully and give it a nice press. You can just use your fingernail if you need to. Petal Pink is light enough, you don't need a card insert, but you know I like to use them. I have a lot of these. They're cut, they're sitting right over there, and they measure 4 inches by 5.25. That gives a nice little trim all the way around. Keep that size in mind because what I did is I took a piece of early espresso, cut it the same size. It's 4 by 5.25. But this one, let's raise it up so you can see, has been embossed. I embossed it using the Merry Melody Embossing Folder. It's one of the ones I just like. I think it's a very fun folder. I want to say that it probably goes, I think it goes that way. Anyhow, let's keep going. Let me give you these other dimensions. Back to the Petal Pink. This one is cut at 3 inches by 4.25. See the layering that's going on? Then another piece of the early espresso. This is cut at 2 3/4 by 4.25. I know, we're getting there, aren't we? And then another piece of the white cardstock. This is the smallest piece. It measures 2.5 by 4. And can you see this one's also been embossed? This is a retired embossing folder. I'm pretty sure it's called the Dainty Diamonds. I had it written on it, but it has since rubbed off. But the point here, really, if you don't have these embossing folders, is I use 2 embossing folders that just add a very subtle detail in the background. And that's what I liked the most about them. So we have this. In addition to these pieces, you're going to want some scrap Petal Pink to make that first pile of ice cream. You need some scrap early espresso for both putting the sentiment together and some chocolate ice cream. This is crumb cake. You can use any brown you want to make the ice cream cone, and then a little bit more scrap white paper to do the sentiment. So let me go ahead and show you what you need. Now, out of the Share a Milkshake, I'm only using 2 stamps. I'm using the one that says Celebrate, and I'm using the spoon. So we need both of those. And then from the coordinating dies, I encourage you, whenever a stamp set comes with dies, get them. You save 10% on the bundle, and you can find lots of uses for them. I have an idea that I'm playing with for video 4 in this series. So we need this one. We need this punch as well, because we're going to punch out the pink as well as the brown, and then we're going to need the die for the spoon. So let's go ahead and put these off to the side, and let's grab a piece of cardstock, and let me show you what I have found is working really well for the spoon. I think that the Smoky Slate is working fantastic for creating the spoon. So, but I do something that's a little different. I have found that when I ink it up and apply the first stamp, I just feel like it's too dark. So I tend to do a second one And it's usually that second one that I like so much more. It offers a depth that I feel you just don't get with the first one, okay? But that's up to you. That is completely up to you. That's what I did for this one, so, and I liked it. While I'm here and I'm stamping, I'm gonna go ahead and pull out my Early Espresso because I feel it coordinates very well with the colors that are going on. And I'm going to ink up that Celebrate. Okay, put it down here. Bada bing, bada boom. Give that a second to dry. I can move these off to the side because we're done with those. And then at this point, what I would do is I would take this over to my die cut and cut out a piece of this ice cream, Paula ice cream, using the Petal Pink. You know I did that ahead of time for you. Then take that same die cut and go ahead with your other flavor. You don't have to stick to these colors. These are just the colors I used. And cut out a piece of that Early Espresso. Then I would coordinate this over top. Not coordinate, I would place this over the spoon. And I would cut out the spoon. See, let me show you this up close. Let me put it to where you can really see it. Let me turn that over so there's no distractions. But do you see the detail on that spoon? I just think it came out so nice, and that was from double stamping it. That's what I was telling you, you can get that effect. And then last but not least, since we're using our Big Shot, well, I still have the old Big Shot. Take your crumb cake, look at that beautiful pattern that happens, and take your spare sheet of crumb cake, take it over there, run it through, and there you go. I'm gonna show you how we can enhance that texture, but that's in a second. If you still have the double oval punch, this is what I was using. So for this, I'm going to cut out my Celebrate, just line that up. I'll wind up with an extra punch, that's okay. Put that off to the side. And then using a spare sheet or a scrap sheet, not spare, but a scrap sheet of my Early Espresso, boom. And last but not least, well, we do have a couple more things. I'm going to use this ribbon that I have. It's the Petal Pink. Use what you have. It's got that beautiful gold detail. I liked that a lot. These embellishments, these were those reflective ones, and I'm running low, so I'm going to use something different. So stick around for that. And here we are. We are ready with all these pieces here. Let me push those off to the side just a second. Let's get some assembly done. And then we'll work on the that waffle. And I'm going to show you what we're going to do with that in a second. Come on, Stampin' Seal Plus. There we go. Apply it as close as you can to the sides. I know a lot of people will just do a couple of strips. I'm just the type of person, I like it all 4 edges. That's completely up to you. Now, this piece of Early Espresso, running some of these, some of the cardstock, after running them through the embossing folders, these embossing folders, they do a fabulous job. They yield a lot of detail, but I find that the paper can sometimes feel a little, for lack of a better word, weaker. See, so I try to be very careful when I lay down that Stampin' Seal Plus on these. See, it wants to pull it up. Sometimes it works really well, sometimes it doesn't. So I'll go a little extra carefully when I'm doing that. All right, looking at the folder. I don't read music, so I'm not 100% certain. Actually, I'm not 100%. I am 100% certain. I don't know what it is. Now, we can go ahead and put these together as well because the ice cream cone is just going to go on top. So let's go ahead and take this piece of Early Espresso. Put our Stampin' Seal Plus again on all 4 sides. I remember when I first got the Stampin' Seal Plus, there was a bit of a technique to applying it. I'm just going to eyeball it. I have since gotten very good at that. Practice makes perfect. Boom. I eyeball. Some people put a lot of effort and will get out a ruler and really stress over it. But I trust that if it looks good to my eye, it will probably look good to other people. So here we go again. This is a heavily embossed sheet of paper with that dainty diamond. So I try to just be a little lighter hand when applying the Stampin' Seal Plus to the paper that's been embossed. There we go. And we can go ahead and we can apply that. Look how much we've got done in a fairly short amount of time. In my opinion, if you're under a time crunch, these videos are videos I hope like this you find useful. I like these type of videos where they tell you everything you need, because I would write it down. I'm going to hold this up to where I can see it because I am just eyeballing it. But then you can have everything kind of prepped ahead of time, a lot like with cooking. By having all your pieces laid out, that's why I try to keep them and tell you about everything I'm using. When you have them all laid out, it just goes, in my opinion, a little smoother. The other thing we can do is we can put the Celebrate right on top of that back piece. And then we're kind of at a stopping point, and that's fine. We can do that. Here is our cone, and you see these score lines? Let me show you what I did to kind of bring that a little bit more to the forefront. This is the early espresso. This is a dauber. I should have a scrap sheet of paper. Let me grab one. There we go. You can see we're in practice. Now what I do is I like to err on the side of caution. So I'll start with a light hand, and I'm just rubbing the edge, taking some off and applying, you know, just kind of flicking that, getting some of that on. This doesn't matter because you're not going to see the center and the back part. And you're not even going to see this, but I'm going to do that anyway. But this is where I felt like, let's just kind of add a little bit more detail. This is where you can really mess up if you're not careful. So that's why I feel like doing this with a lighter hand is better. You can even practice here because you're not going to see that. It's just adding a little variety. If it looks like it's just a little too dirty, well, you just wait and see. There we go. And you don't want to cover the whole thing. You want to leave some space where you didn't touch it. Let me go ahead and press off some of this ink. Scrap paper is always good. I'll get back to cleaning that afterwards. Now, let's fold on the fold lines. See? Let's fold on this fold line, and you'll see, could have just paid more attention. See that extra zhuzh that inking did? I'm not getting out those minuscule glue dots. If you haven't seen the first and second episodes of this 4-part series, you'll understand why. There's many glue dots. They are something. But anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and close that up. And then I'm going to go ahead and take another of these small glue dots. And I'm going to completely close this. Boom, just like that. Now it's time to start putting this together. I'm going to take a nice 2 big glue dots on the back here. And here, not here, at this point, you can put this first scoop of ice cream however you like. You can tuck it in behind there if you want. I like the way it looked over. Do you see what I mean by that? And I wanted it sort of dripping down the side. And those glue dots just make that application, in my opinion, pretty darn easy. Now, for this second one, what I do like about this die, let me grab my pick tool so I can show you, is it's got this slit. This slit is so you can put, if you do the straw that comes with the stamp set, you can put the straw in there. We're going to put the spoon in there because it looks like this is one of those huge waffle cones. They're so large that there is no way you can just eat it without a spoon, see? And you can secure this a couple of different ways. Now I did, where'd it go? I picked up some Tombow glue. I ran to my, not ran, but I drove to our local craft store and I got some. So let me just put a drop in there. I hope it's just a drop that comes out. There we go. And that will secure it. So while that's drying, I'm going to go ahead, and I know that I'm going to, see that piece there? I'm going to cover that so that doesn't worry me. So let's go ahead and get a couple more of these medium-sized glue dots. I'm going to put one right over where that spoon is. That will also help secure that spoon. Let me show you, see? And then I'm going to put another glue dot over here. We are almost done. Can you believe that? We are so close to being finished. These are a lot of fun, in my opinion. I hope you find them to be fun. Oh, maybe I should have moved that over a little bit more off to the side, but that's okay. Now on the back, you have a couple of different choices. You can use some of the really large glue dots or my go-to Stampin' Seal Plus, whichever works for you. See that practice on the back? It's all right, doesn't matter. I think this glue dot might be too big because I like to get them down there in the corner. So I'm gonna pull out one of these annoying little minuscule glue dots. Now watch it work for you now that I've complained about it. But like I said, if you saw any, there's a dot right there. If you saw the previous two videos, especially, I want to say video 2, of course it worked this time. Maybe it just needed a rest. Anyhow, it was not being as cooperative. This is the part, whoops, let me get that secured down. If you don't like the spoon standing up free like that, you can, this one's free, but for the, just show you, you can work or wiggle in there and put a glue dot on, not a glue dot, a little bit of your Tombow glue. Hopefully the camera's adjusting. Come on. I don't want to squeeze out too much, so pardon me for taking a little extra longer. Let me hold that down for a second. But you can even see here, let's see if that glue, look at the difference between, a little schmutz on there, between not having the embellishments and having those embellishments. I think it just makes a difference. For this, I want to raise up this sentiment with some stamping dimensionals. How many? I'm going to use 2. I feel like 2 would be just enough for this size. They're pretty close together. Going back to the pick tool, especially if you have acrylic nails on like I do, sometimes getting that piece of paper off is kind of hard, so it's a handy little thing, and I like that a little bit at an angle. I'm going to cover that up. Now again, for this, I'm running really low. Let me see if I have them. I don't remember what they're called, but nope, that's not it. Sorry, look at all these things. I keep everything. Am I going to find it? I know I was running low. Of course it's out. Excuse me for reaching in front of you. See, these are very reflective. They have that iridescent look. That's there. But then I thought, well, maybe you don't have those. But look at these are the polished dots. And I thought they would work as well, especially since they're very much with a coordinating color. So we're going to take one of these. And because I don't know if you can see it, but there's like a little stain part there that I don't really like. It's probably leftover ink from my finger somewhere. Again, when that happens, consider it, your card's way of telling you, hey, try something else. Because a lot of times what happens is those little imperfections as we see them, now you can decide which one you like better, they tend to work out in our favor. Now, last but not least, I'm reaching in front of you, I apologize. Let's just do a real simple bow. I want to say a lot of times it's called a faux bow. You can call it whatever you want. I call it a lifesaver for those of us who have a hard time making a bow. And I pull it really taut, see? Been using a pair of some sharp scissors and knocking over a bunch of stuff and making extra noise for you all. I like to cut those the same direction on a slant. That might be too big. Yep, I don't like that. I think it's too much. And I think that's too big. I do a lot of the eyeballing stuff. I just figure if I like the look of it with just my eye, it should be fine. See? And then we can adhere it. There's a couple of different options here. You can pick and choose which side you want it to go on. I have put mini glue dots on either side. I will also take the Tombow glue. Let me show you what I do here. Just put a little bit of Tombow glue. Come on. And then even on the bow part, I think I might need a little bit more on this side. And that just comes with experience. Err on the side of caution though when you start out. To me, it's better to have not enough. And then I'm going to hold that for a quick second. But there you go, just like that. Just like that. I think it was just like that. Again, once you have everything kind of prepped, ready to go, it makes it so much easier. So just for a recap, again, if you're just coming in, this is number 3 in a 4-part series where we're highlighting the Share a Milkshake stamp set. Number 1 video, we did this card. That's the milkshake. In the second video, we did the ice cream sundae. And here in the third video, we took care of that ice cream cone. Lots of fun with that one. Let me go ahead and enlarge it so you can take a screenshot. If you have not subscribed to our channel, please consider doing so. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any friends who also enjoy crafting and making cards, please share our channel with them. We would appreciate it. Thank you for joining us, and until the next time, happy stamping.